The relationship building part takes time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a lot of people. I spent my fair share of money learning from experts that are like, build your business in 70 days or whatever. Get all your leads from DMs. Your, social media will work for you while you're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And for most people, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
For most people, that doesn't work, but you've spent a lot of money finding out what doesn't work.
Yes.
Let's talk Tails. Today's guest on Tales with Taylor is a former regional sales director managing $150 million in annual revenue and is now helping individuals and companies sell smarter and live better. Through her signature programs, Time Shift and Sell Smart, Live Well, she teaches how to drive results without burning out. A certified trainer with Eric Lofholm International, my guest high energy keynotes and workshops blend data-driven insight with real-world strategy, helping audiences reclaim time, focus, and sustainable success. A U.S. Air Force veteran, certified health coach, and certified master transformation coach who holds a Master of Arts degrees in human relations and management. It's Gina R. Smith. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Taylor. How are you? Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for being here. So tell me the tale of how do you go from Air Force to business strategist?
So there's a few steps in between. I grew up in a military family. I'm a military brat. I'm an Air Force brat, to be exact. When I graduated from college, it was a bad economic year. I never intended to go in the military.
And my dad, a good branch, though. From being around the military, everyone's amazing. We thank you all for your service, but the Air Force are the smart ones.
Thank you.
Yes.
So my dad sent me this article saying the Air Force is looking for 5,000 non-flying officers.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, okay. And at the time, I had just gotten out of college. And I went to 2 interviews one day. One was for an airline because I lived in Kansas City at the time. So American Airlines flight attendant school is there.
Okay.
So I went to this interview to be a flight attendant. And I went to interview with the Air Force recruiters. And I was kind of like, I need a job. And whoever calls me first is what I'm going to. Never heard from the airline, heard back from the Air Force. And that kind of started the whole journey of, I passed all the testing and all that kind of stuff. And when I was talking to the recruiters, they're like, what job do you want? And I've never been a person who wanted an office job. So it's like, I don't want an office job. I don't want administration. I don't want personnel. What do you got that's outside? So they're like, oh, there's a couple of jobs and nobody really wants these jobs, which is kind of a history of mine. And so they said, you can be a weapons officer. So those are the people that take care of all the weapons that get loaded on airplanes and stuff, or aircraft maintenance. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds interesting. So that's what I ended up doing for my 5 years in the Air Force.
Oh, wow.
I was an aircraft maintenance officer. So basically you're an operations manager for a flight line with you have about 36 planes. And then every day you're trying to get off 30 flights with, some portion of that fleet. Lots of people, lots of planes, lots of activity every day. It was very challenging, very exciting.
Yeah.
A lot of fun and a lot of hard work too. And I left the Air Force after 5 years. At the time I got married, they couldn't post me and my husband in the same place. He'd had more time in the service. So I went and I kicked around Europe for about 5 years with him. And when I came back to the US, my first corporate job was in human resources. So all of it, all the time has always been about people for me. And that fit into my master's in human relations and management. And I spent about 5 years in HR. And I've always had really interesting jobs, kind of non-traditional. I had to do a special project for my company and was doing it inside one of the company's distribution centers. And at the time, all of the sales managers had offices in there. And I was kind of tired of HR. I got tired of, what we're seeing now is like companies laying off people starting in November to make it your number for Wall Street. And, I'd gone year after year of doing that. I really got tired of doing that. And I could just see there wasn't really a lot of progression in that profession because it's not revenue generating. And companies were outsourcing it or cutting the positions. And I walked into one, and I'd gotten to know these guys because I did this project for a year and a half. And I walked into this guy's office, and we were just chatting. And he's like, we can't find anybody for this job.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you're in HR. Can you help us? And I was like, well, what is it? So he starts telling me about this sales role. And I'm sitting there going, I could do that. Maybe it's time for a change. And so I ended up, my boss was like, what are you, crazy? You're doing really well. You're great at what you do, all this stuff. I think, honestly, they gave me a mercy interview. And, I was like in the company, my record was good. There's no reason you shouldn't interview me. Mm-hmm. And I slammed it.
Nice.
And that was the beginning of the next almost 28 years I spent in sales as a salesperson and as a sales leader. And one of the things I realized, even back when I was preparing for that interview, is that everybody sells. We're all selling.
Yeah, we are all selling all the time. Yeah. We just may not call it selling. You should be calling it sharing a recommendation, sharing a review. So what do you think is the biggest issue that you see when it comes to entrepreneurs and business owners trying to sell?
I think a lot of people have a passion to start a business. Mm-hmm. So the passion is there, or the knowledge or background. And what they don't realize is that to create revenue, the product or service has to be sold in some way. Mm-hmm. And often people don't think about that part, or, they're told that all you got to do is post 3 times a day and DM people and you'll get your sales. That works for some people, but it's really not a successful formula for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people get very discouraged because they realize it takes them longer than they thought mm-hmm. to build this business, or sales are not coming in, and they find that they feel icky asking people for money.
Mm-hmm. And so, you said that everyone sells. So, is there not really a particular personality as a salesperson? Can everyone truly learn how to sell?
So there's no salesperson personality. Mm-hmm. That's one of the false beliefs, because the images you see in media, salespeople, they're usually men. Mm-hmm. They're usually older white men. They're usually trying to rip people off or trick people, or they're not ever portrayed as honest, helpful people. Yeah. And they're usually like brash and loud. Mm-hmm. So people have the impression that to be a successful salesperson, you got to be brash and loud and pushy. And none of that's true. I'm an introvert that's learned how to act like an extrovert.
Yes.
Introverts make really good salespeople because they listen. Mm-hmm. They don't talk all the time. And there's so many different kinds of sales. There are products and markets and segments where that brash, pushy person is required. Mm-hmm. And then there are other segments that are more relational. I did a very relational, consultative sell with long-term, large contracts. Mm-hmm. So that was perfect for me as an introvert.
Yeah.
And then there's all kind of stuff in between. But any person can learn the basics of sales, which is relationships with people. And sales is really a series of process steps mm-hmm. that people can learn. So how do the process steps relate to your business? So there might be a person whose business that, say, the process step of what salespeople call prospecting, mm-hmm. finding people who want to buy, want or need your service. Okay, maybe that's done on social media. Maybe that's done in person. Phone calls, emails, going out to meet people, and all of those things. How do you do that? How do you then gather that data and take it and put it in some kind of form?
Right.
So that you can follow up with those people.
That's the fortunes and the follow-up, that's for sure.
And create more interest or nurture those relationships. Mm-hmm. Serve them in some way, or give them information in some way, so that when it does come time to promote your product or ask for a sale, you're able to take them to the next step. But, there are all these salespeople who use this language that's probably not internet, social media friendly, but there are all these steps, and whatever you're selling has all those steps.
Mm-hmm. When you're talking, it reminds me of a mutual friend of ours, Tish Time. Yes. She has a book called Sales is Not a One-Night Stand.
Yes.
And it's so true. It might happen occasionally, but very rarely do you meet someone, strike a conversation, and then they're ready to sign a contract with you.
Very.
People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Yes.
And trust takes time.
Yes.
It takes time to build that trust in that relationship. And so what would be some tips that you would give to people to do quality follow-up in order to build that trust?
So one is just make sure you're collecting information that you can use. Mm-hmm. The first thing would be just a simple thank you. Thank you. It was great to meet you. Thanks for giving me your information. Mm-hmm. I'd like to be in contact with you. Even in that follow-up message, would you like to meet for coffee? Mm-hmm. Would you like a quick conversation over Zoom? What works for you? So finding a way to connect with that person again is a great way to follow up. Mm-hmm. If you've got an email system and an email series, mm-hmm. how do you create a series that serves people, that gives them valuable information they can use? Mm-hmm. So they start to relate to you and they start to go, oh, she kind of knows what she's talking about.
Yeah. That value-based marketing. Yeah. That's something we talk about all the time too, is because, at the end of the day, people don't want to be sold. They just want to be provided solutions.
Yes.
Yeah. Completely agree with that.
And having a system
mm-hmm.
to do it so that you don't drop the ball.
Yes. Or have burnout, which is your specialty.
which is another thing that happens is, having those systems so that you can automate some things so they happen. And so you don't drop the ball and have that thing where you pull a card out of your purse and go, oh my God, I met this person 3 months ago and I never got back to him. Mm-hmm. And it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, if I'm at a networking event, I've always had a mantra that I follow up in the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because after 24 hours, people are busy. People have work lives, personal lives, everything in between. And especially if you're at a networking event, you might meet a few different people.
Right.
And so within that 24-hour time block, it's still fresh enough where you can still, remember your full conversation and be able to pull from pieces from it. Maybe something about their dog, or they mentioned their mom had to go into surgery the next day. Comment on that. That just adds that personal touch and, makes it so it's not just so generic and bland of great meeting you at XYZ event.
Right.
It's closed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think, the relationship building part takes time. Mm-hmm. I'm like a lot of people. I spent my fair share of money learning from experts that are like, build your business in 70 days or whatever. Get all your leads from DMs. Your, social media will work for you while you're sleeping. Mm-hmm. And for most people, that's not true. Mm-hmm. For most people, that doesn't work, but you've spent a lot of money finding out what doesn't work.
Yes.
But you still, if you're going to work to connect with people through DMs, you still got to have some kind of relationship with them. Mm-hmm. There's nothing more annoying to me than the people who want to connect with you and then the next message is a solicitation of your business.
Oh my gosh, the whole book, that book response. If anyone ever sends me a message on LinkedIn or Instagram that I have to scroll to see it all, I'm like, that is not an authentic, conversation you're trying to have right now.
We're done.
Yes.
We're done. And so, that's not for me. That might work for some people, but that doesn't work for me. And I think, how do you frequently contact people? Or if you're in networking group, like we're in a shared networking group now, Bo.
Yes.
We see each other on a regular basis. So we get to connect on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And then we have the opportunity to invite each other to connect outside of that.
Most definitely.
I was, you were there, I was speaking to Nava recently and just talking about some of the things I believe about sales and selling. And, AI is the topic of everything today. Mm-hmm. I use AI daily, but I use it for myself as a thinking tool or as a tool for creativity. I don't use it to replace myself. And I think for anybody trying to sell, be more human, be the most human you can be, because human beings need human beings.
Yes.
People are so lonely. People are craving human contact.
Yeah. And, I feel, AI is so important to use as a tool, again, only as a tool.
Yes.
But when you do try to use it to replace yourself, I remember actually, I feel like it was that same day that you gave that talk at NAVO. I was on LinkedIn. I saw someone posting like, stop using AI to name your courses. I literally saw 3 courses today name from chaos to clarity.
Yeah.
And that's an example that if you just would use your own human brain, you could actually really stand out from the competition because you're not just using the exact same, spit it out response.
Right. So just be more human. One of my intentions for 2026 is to be more with people live, whether that's more live workshops or just more coffees or wine or whatever, meeting people in person.
Yes. Well, I'm happy you're here in person.
I'm happy. This is my first in-person podcast.
Yes.
So I'm super happy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I would love to know the tale, though, of that transition. What was that story you told yourself, or what happened? What made you go from corporate, a steady salaried paycheck, probably some benefits, to going, I'm going to do this on my own?
So, a few things happened. One is, when I made that decision, I'd been at what I was doing. I mean, my corporate career was longer than 27 years, but the sales part of it was that much. And a lot of things changed through COVID. So one of the things I loved about sales was actually the people.
Yeah.
So I sold to hospitals. And even when I was a regional director, my team, we were still selling to hospitals. So I enjoyed being inside a hospital, talking to the clinical people I was working with.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Being in clinical areas, because you're always learning, because things are always changing in medicine and healthcare. And when COVID happened, we got grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And no one knew what was happening really in 2020.
Oh, no.
And we went to life on Zoom, literally all day, every day. I've never felt depressed in my life before. I started to feel depressed because, and I was at home all the time. I was never at home as a rep or a manager. I was at home on Monday. That was my one office day. And then I was out the rest of the week. So all of a sudden I'm like in an office job.
Yeah. The one thing you said you didn't want.
The one thing I've never wanted. But, no one knew what was happening. And it was grueling. I think our company was good because lots of things happened with other companies like ours where people's salaries got cut or they got cut. Mm-hmm. They kept us whole. But I think they wanted to make sure we're working every minute of every day. Mm. So it was just like stacked up, call after call after call after call, all day, every day. And then 2021 came and the vaccine came out and whatever political things people have, most hospitals, I would say all hospitals required us to be vaccinated. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of organizations got used to us not coming there. Mm-hmm. And I think just developed a philosophy post-pandemic of having as few unnecessary people in the building than you need. So we start seeing this trend. I mean, this was 2021. I don't even know how much it's changed now. Where something like 40% of hospitals were saying, we don't really need your reps to come here. We'll let you know when we need you, unless you're mission essential. There's some products that have to be demoed or have to be trialed with patients. Mm-hmm. The product line I was with didn't have that requirement. So I just saw into the future and it's like, I don't have more years of this in me. I can't sit behind this computer on Zoom.
You made yourself your desk job and your cubicle job. And
and it's sort of like, you know what? I think you're done with what you were supposed to do here.
Mm-hmm. So that was the catapult.
That was the catapult. The other catapult was I spent all of my working life on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. I'm an Eastie at heart.
Where exactly? Because I'm originally from the East Coast.
Okay. Upstate New York.
Okay. I was originally born in Hurley.
Okay. I was in Newburgh.
Okay.
Connecticut.
Okay.
Ohio.
Okay. My husband's family's in like Toledo, Ohio area. Yeah.
And when the pandemic happened, everybody in my family is like west of the Mississippi.
Okay.
And I'm like, I am isolated from my family. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, whenever the next pandemic comes, I don't want to be across the country from them.
Yeah.
And my mom, who's passed away recently, but at the time she and her second husband were alive and they were already over 80. I didn't want to come visit them because I was afraid of bringing something to them.
Right.
And making them sick. So I didn't see her for more than a year. Mm. And, for years, I've had a brother that's been out here for like 40 years. And they kept trying to get me to move. And I would come to Phoenix and be like, no. And then all of a sudden.
Did they have you visit in July or something?
No, it wasn't even the weather. It was just like, well, they live in one of the suburbs. And I'm just going to say it's just not exciting. And I lived in a city.
Yeah.
And
East Coast City is different than Phoenix City.
I lived in the last city I lived in was Columbus, Ohio. Mm-hmm. Great off the radar city.
Yeah.
That nobody talks about.
Yep.
I lived in a downtown city in the Northeast, you have neighborhoods. I lived in a great neighborhood, all the great food scene, great athletic scene, all that kind of stuff that I love. And I would come here and it'd be like, no, there's nothing. And my niece, who's an adult now, said, okay. And she's in the real estate business. She's like, I'm going to take you around to places you're going to want to live. So she kind of did that. I was like, okay, I think Phoenix has grown up and I can live here now.
Yes.
And I just decided there's no reason for me to hang on. And I'm a very practical person. Mm-hmm. And I realized I understand like corporate. And the sales budget is the sales budget. The metrics get rearranged every year. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if I stick around, I'm not going to make appreciably more money in the next few years. It's going to be about the same.
Yeah.
Because that's how it is.
Yeah.
Unless there's some exciting new project or some surprising new giant hospital system that comes aboard or something, I'm just going to be kind of holding steady for what? Mm-hmm. And it's all these things kind of compile to say, my time is done here. And then I could see that my mom and her husband needed some more support than they were getting because they're just going to keep getting older, and it's like, it's time to go. And then I hit I'm just going to say a really great real estate deal, a really great real estate deal. And it's like, kind of like things happen. And it's like, these are all signs that say, it's not get up and go, Gina.
Very nice. And so I brought you here to beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. Personally, I moved here because of the weather.
Too, because it's like, once I decided to stop working, I lived in Columbus because I got transferred there. Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's no reason to live anywhere where it snows, it's cold and gray.
No.
I'm heading for the sun.
Exactly. Yeah. I know our summers can feel brutal, but it's a lot less time than it is for winters. I got over the fact of waking up early to shovel my car out of the snow because my neighborhood's trash. The roads are fine, so I still need to go to work. It's just not worth it. And so, you're here in sunny Arizona and you said, you're going to start just really, living for yourself, it sounds like. And so you started your own business. I always love to know the why behind brand colors. And so yours are, red, black, and white, very classic. What is it about the red that attracted you for your brand?
The red pops.
Yes.
Against the black, which is my favorite color.
Okay. Well, red also, as you said, there's a lot of different meanings behind it, but psychologically too, red is independence. Red is a power color.
Yes.
And so I do feel, that, it's a power color. And as a sales strategist, coach, trainer, and speaker, you need to be able to, stand in power for what you're saying. Yeah. And so I would love to hear more about your, signature workshops. What types of industries? Are you still focused primarily within the medical industry, or what industries do you like working with the most and that you feel can benefit the most from your workshops?
So I don't have an industry focus.
Okay.
Because there are salespeople everywhere.
Yes.
And this is all like the journey.
Yeah.
Not there yet. So I'm working with two groups of people. So one of those groups of people are the entrepreneurs who I can help learn what I was saying. Shift your mindset to embrace yourself as a person who sells. Mm-hmm. And then let's learn the skill set and a process and make a playbook for you so that you can use that to sell your product or service.
Mm-hmm. So what's a tip that you could give to someone, or, changing your mindset? It sounds so simple, but that's a really tall, order to ask for someone to change a mindset, especially since that can be something that's been ingrained for years and years and years of life experience and so forth. And so what are some things that people could actually do in order to change their mindset around sales?
So I have a fun thing I do with people in a workshop and with clients is have them create an avatar. And I use the example with them of Beyonce, who, says that when she gets up on stage that she's just a shy girl from Houston in her own self. Mm-hmm. But then when she gets up on stage, she becomes Sasha Fierce. Mm-hmm. So that's her avatar that she steps into to do all that dancing and prancing and shaking and singing.
Yeah.
So having people create that for themselves. So do you want to be a powerful salesperson? Mm-hmm. Do you want to be able to speak to people? Do you want to do it without fear? Then how do you create yourself an avatar in AI? Mm-hmm. I use chat. There's a bunch of different ones. And I just have a prompt that, you kind of describe yourself as you are physically. And then you describe the person you want to be. So my avatar is fierce. She's forward. She's energetic. All these things. And then let AI create and ask them to create an image.
Okay.
So I've had everything from like warrior queen to, I can't remember the last one. What name?
Does it give it a different name too?
Yeah.
So what's your avatar name then?
I'm trying to remember because I keep recreating her.
Okay. Well, that's also, I think, an important step.
Yes.
That, even when it comes to your mindset, it's similar to like a website. It's never fully complete. And I feel, when we're business owners and going through the journey of learning more about sales or learning more about networking, it might change. What you need to focus on or your mindset might need to adjust. And so it's okay to change that avatar depending on what it is that you need it to be. Do you need it to be the speaker avatar or do you need it to be the trainer avatar? I'm sure those are slightly different mindsets to be in.
Yeah. But, for the person who's afraid of sales, create that avatar. So in your fear, you can step into Princess Fearsome, Princess Fire. I think I had one that was like Princess Warrior Fire or something.
Hey, well, as someone who has a cat named Xena, I love that. Warrior Princess right there.
So I have them create the avatar. So it creates it and asks it to create an image. And then you can play with that image. If you don't like it, you could go, I don't know. The first time I did it, I didn't realize how much detail I needed to give chat, and it created a blonde white woman. Okay, that's not me. So I had to go back and tell it how I look.
Yeah.
So it creates something that looks like me. And then to ask it to give you some name selections. And again, like with GPT, if you don't like any of this stuff, you can go, I don't like any of them. Give me 10 more. And then to create some affirmations for you that you can say about yourself.
Yeah.
I'm a powerful salesperson. I touch people easily. I'm great at follow-up. Some of the things that would help support you. And then I find, and I've been through this myself as someone, working to get a business going, is that, coming from corporate, I had a lot of structure, and a lot of the structure was external to me. Weekly meetings that somebody set up, weekly meetings I had to set up, meetings with my team. I talk to my team every day. And so then all of a sudden you have all this time that's yours to manage.
Yes. And perhaps not necessarily an office to escape to right away.
Yes.
There's laundry that could be done. there's dishes that could be done. But you have to have that power to say, I need to make this my work hours versus home hours.
Yeah. And even though I've worked from home since 1995.
Oh, wow.
Because as salespeople, all the companies I work for, we all just always and ever worked from home. So I had that discipline, but still without the structure, that outside structure, you can find yourself wondering, the Housewives, that looks interesting. I never even watched the stuff,
Yeah.
Or like you said, laundry, I can get absorbed in my laundry, or, I should clean this place up. And then the day's gone and you haven't done your work. So have people create what are 10 things I need to do? So that when I'm in that moment, I can look at one of those and it's like, follow up. Pick one. So there's something for you to do. You don't have to wonder about it. And they're fundamental things. And if people want my prompt sheet, I think you're going to give my information at the end.
Yes, check out the show notes on the website. Check out the show notes.
Just drop me an email that says prompts.
Right.
And I'll send you the prompts and you can create your avatar for yourself. And just something to step into. And picture yourself as someone who is selling. And even though you might not be selling the revenue for your business, you're selling. You're selling your kid on what to wear to school every day, or you're selling a decision in your family. You don't realize that you're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
And so, there's been quite a few people whom I've had the pleasure of working with or meeting that have done that, corporate to, working on your own transition. What would be the one step for someone who's maybe watching this, who's still in the corporate world, but has been really itching to maybe do more, have a greater impact, or do something for themselves? What would be that first step that you would recommend people to do to successfully step into, their own business world?
Make sure you have some money set aside. Make sure you have 6 months to a year, or maybe more, of money set aside. Because people quit and they don't have any financial backing. And then they realize it's not going to take off in 2 months. and then they're in financial trouble. So make sure you're financially prepared for a period of time where you're not going to be earning money.
Mm-hmm. And what a realistic point of view too, that you're saying, look, it might take 6 months to a year to actually earn some money because we got to build those relationships. We got to go out there and network. You have to get your processes and systems in place. And, I know my first year in business, it was around that 6-month mark where I was like, do I get a regular job? Do I not? What do we do? And I'm very grateful that I still had enough stability to go, no, let's keep pushing this forward. And then luckily, things turned around. But if I didn't, have that little bit of a bank account, who knows? It would have been one of those things where you could then easily just fly yourself back into a job. And then now you're back into that timetable of just having a job again.
And then, depending on what you're doing, there are probably some people who launch post-corporate and they launch into something that hooks into what they were doing or customers they were working with or whatever. But that's generally not the norm. People are going off to do something different than what they were doing.
And even if you are in the same industry, like I was in the same industry, but there's NDAs. Sometimes you can't reach out to certain people and it is what it is, even if your relationship's great, you know? And so that's another thing to think about. Yeah. And so are there any books that you've maybe, read that have really helped you in your journey or podcasts or even a movie? I know that for some people, it's even a movie that really sticks with them.
There's so many books. I still will go back to Napoleon Hill and any of his books.
Yeah. Okay. Any of them. Not just Think and Grow Rich. Any of them.
Was written in the 20s.
Yeah.
But the principles of it are still sound.
Yeah. Some dated ideas, but for the most part, like your board of, advisors, your advisory board, same idea.
How to Win Friends and Influence People by Norman Vincent Peale, another ancient book.
Yes.
But it's really about connecting with people and how to influence people.
So since you mentioned Napoleon Hill, do you have your own board of advisors in your head? Whom is it that you would consult?
Them in my head. I don't have them at a table yet, but I have them in my head.
Excellent. Do you mind sharing one person?
Tish would be one of those people.
Nice. Yes. Yeah. Make sure you take a look at her podcast. I know we've had her on the show. Yeah.
Heather Ferrari from Women 360 is another person that are part of my board of directors.
Nice. So. Very nice. Yeah. And I haven't had her on yet. I'll need to.
You should have Heather on.
Yes. No, Heather is just always such a delight. She always has such a gorgeous smile. Whenever we're doing videography or photography for NABO, it's like there's particular people that I know if we pan to, they're going to be smiling.
Yes, she will be smiling.
yes, definitely.
She will be smiling.
And so then I'm always wondering too, if there was a tale you were going to write, what would be the title of that tale?
It would be something like An Unlikely Journey. I really never pictured my life unfolding as it did. When I was growing up, I don't know what I thought I would be when I grew up. I think at one point in my life, I wanted to be a teacher just because I had so many teachers I admired. And when I went into the military, I actually kind of went in with Sting for 20 years and I didn't end up doing that. So I didn't have a vision past that. I never saw myself becoming a salesperson. And as I said, along the way, I've had almost all my jobs I've had over the years have been, no one wants that job. It's a brand new role. It's the first time we've done it.
Yeah. It's
the first time we've done this way. So I've taken a lot of well-calculated risk that worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can look back and there were none of them that didn't work for me.
Did you just like the challenge of being told no one wants it or that it's new? What was it about it that attracted you to go, oh, wow, no one wants it, so I'll take it?
I like creating things. So I like being there. I like being there at the beginning to build. And I don't necessarily like maintaining them. So that's a challenge for me, is to stick with the maintaining part.
Okay.
Because I like the creation part. Like one of the projects I was on during my career was helping to open a distribution center that my company built. And I was part of what they call the Greenfield team. We literally went into the shell of a building and worked in these construction trailers for a year until the building was finished and opened. It was fascinating. It was fun. It was very different type of role. I wasn't doing, obviously we were trying to recruit people to work there at the time, but it was a big project to get this building up and going. And, I've just had fun along the way. And I never, I made great money in medical sales.
Yeah.
And I never imagined even being able to make that kind of income or live in all these places I lived across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it would probably be an unlikely story.
An unlikely story or an unlikely journey.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, an unlikely journey. I never imagined having my own business.
Mm-hmm. And so, what does it feel like to have your own business?
A lot of days it's scary. Yeah. It's a journey. It's
an unlikely journey.
It's a lot of learning because I have a lot I take from corporate life. It's very different as my own business. I had a marketing department in corporate. Mm-hmm. I had a finance department. I had all these. So I had to sell.
Mm-hmm.
I had to execute. I did not have to market. Yes, I had to look at the numbers, but I didn't have to create that plan.
Right.
Again, it was a plan I got that I had to figure out how to execute.
Mm-hmm.
So figuring out all of those things, really figuring out what I wanted to do. I've been a little bit around the block before landing here as sales strategist because I did what a lot of people who leave corporate do, going, I don't want anything to do with that anymore, until I realized I missed it.
And you're probably pretty dang good at it.
I was.
Too. And so you should lean into those natural strengths that you are good at it and you obviously enjoy. And I think, something with sales strategists similar to video marketing is that being industry agnostic, you get to play and learn a lot of different things and being a part of a lot of different experiences, which is, from hearing of your history of, I'll take on that job that's brand new, or I'll take on this opportunity people don't want to do. This is still giving you that opportunity to kind of get into those those industries or those new ideas that you can then help build those ideas with them. And then they can finish the follow through with it all.
They can maintain it after we've kind of helped them build it.
Mm-hmm.
But I love to build and get it started.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it's up and going, I like to go, now you can take care of it and let me know how it's going. I'll keep an eye on how it's going, but I don't really want to be the one that showed you how to make it go.
It per se. Yeah. Excellent.
And so you asked me about how I work with people. The other, so entrepreneurs is one group, companies are another group. And I work in affiliation with a company called Score More Sales. And we have access to database assessments for pre-hiring salespeople. Because there are a lot of mistakes made.
Okay, what would be one mistake that you think is regularly made when hiring a salesperson?
There are some good talkers out there, girl. There are some polished, good talkers that come in. They got the brag book. They got all the answers. They sound good. They look good. They produce nothing. Believe me, I made my mistakes as a manager hiring people. And that was probably the biggest one. And there's probably always a little tickle in the back of your brain, but you're like, yeah, but they're going to be great.
Right.
And they come with good recommendations and stuff like that. But people get fooled by that. And I worked for a privately held company in my last role. And so there was a lot of Gina's daughter just graduated from college. Let's get her in a sales internship. Because your mom was good or your dad was good doesn't mean you'll be good.
Very true.
So there was a lot of, in a nice way, hiring people's kids or whatever, but they may or may not work out.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just meet people that are they're energetic and loud, and they go, they're going to be a great salesperson because they're energetic and loud. And that sometimes doesn't work out. And so this assessment looks at 21 different verified characteristics that predict the opportunity for people to be successful.
Interesting.
So having companies use that to assess candidates before they interview them, and some clues on kind of what to dig into when they're interviewing is very helpful in helping people not make mistakes. Because, generally you make a 90-day mistake or longer, because a lot of companies hire people and they got 90 days of training or whatever. If they don't make it after that, they dump them. But by then, how much have you spent paying that person, training that person,
how much damage control,
not getting revenue, because they really haven't been doing anything that you asked them to do, and it's just money down the drain.
Yeah. Yeah, hiring is definitely one of the hardest, most expensive endeavors, I feel, when it comes to going into business, but it's a necessity because as you were mentioning with your old corporate job, having the finance department, having the marketing department, even if you are a solopreneur, you still need to have that mindset of having those different departments because you can't physically do everything, nor should you. One of my clients, Vanessa Shaw, always talks about staying in your center of genius. You know, what is it that you uniquely can do and only you can do? Everything else should be delegated out in order to just get the best results, to save your time and allow you to keep doing things that are actually going to be revenue producing because only you can do it.
Yeah.
I know we mentioned a few times NABO, National Association of Women Business Owners. You know, I'm so grateful to be a part of a network like that because then we can connect with all those other experts in their field to be a part of your department. Like I know we worked with Amy Fuller. She is our, fractional CFO. I know basic math, but truly breaking down the numbers isn't my forte. And so it's a matter of partnering and finding those people. And so how did you originally find NABO?
So I was never a part of NABO when I lived in Columbus because I was still working. And at the time, they had these kind of long lunch meetings that I could just never attend. So when I moved here in 2022, I joined, but they were still recovering from COVID. And we didn't have Wealth-Wise Women like we have now.
Yeah.
So I kind of just joined for a year. And Andy said, "Oh, you should come back because we have developed this whole new platform, curriculum built to help people grow their businesses." And I came back to the first Wealth-Wise Women, and I'm like, "Okay, this is it."
And now you're part of the programming committee.
Look at
that.
I'm part of the committee. So I really love what we're doing now. And instead of the group being, because the group had become kind of very purely social. So instead of it just being purely social, we really are sewing into women like resources and knowledge and information that they can combine with the relationships to build their businesses.
Most definitely. I have had the pleasure of being a part of NABO for almost a decade now. And so I've seen the ebb and flows and how people have moved and changed and how the programming has adjusted. And I've absolutely loved, the recent several years of the programming. So everyone on the board's doing a phenomenal job. And so, is there a tale? Obviously you mentioned that, you've kind of gone in a unknown journey, something that you never would have expected. But is there a tale you wish you would have told your younger self, or what would be the tale you would have told your younger self?
I don't know.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That is totally fine too. Because I almost, when I was asking the question, was hesitant to ask it because I feel you have been like water in a sense, that you've just flowed to whatever has happened naturally within your life, that you kind of just rolled with it.
I have just rolled with it. Yeah.
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 And
I could tell myself stuff but they're kind of more those unuseful thoughts. Should have been a better student. But you know what?
Maybe
I did okay in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I did okay in life not being an A student. So I'm good with that because I'm a really smart person that just wasn't an A student.
And you know what? That's okay because depending on how the curriculum is scored or whatever it may be, some people are more project-based people and not a sit down and get this test right in this exact hour and time. And so,
I think, we have a journey and the journey is what the journey is. And I've spent very little time looking back going, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that.
That's excellent.
And I have really flowed with, like, I've lived a lot of places. I was counting one day. It's like, I've lived like 11 different places as an adult.
Wow. Well, what's your favorite? Obviously other than Arizona because you're still here. But what were some of your favorite places to live?
I really liked Connecticut. It's a really pretty state. It's very small, very rural, but it's close to New York City. So that was just a bonus of being in Connecticut, is being able to easily get down to New York City on the train.
Yep.
I called on some hospitals in New York City. I could just ride the train to Manhattan, go do what I need to do and go home. And just, I love New York City. And that was one of the things. It's beautiful countryside, and you're not on the ocean, but you're on Long Island Sound. Mm-hmm. So there's a beautiful state park. You can go and kind of go to the beach. Mm-hmm. You're on the Sound, but still it was great beach time. And then just the next state over is Rhode Island, and then you're on the ocean.
Yeah.
And proximity, I didn't love Boston as much, but still proximity to Boston, to lots of great cities around. So that was one of the favorite places. And I had some family there, some extended family there that I love a lot. And we got to spend a lot of time with them and just hang out with them.
Yeah, I personally have not gone to Connecticut, but, a lot of the Northeast, I'd regularly, I grew up also in Maryland. So the whole Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, Delaware, area, a lot of that.
Yeah. So. And I lived overseas for 5 years. So I lived in Germany for 2 years, in England for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I had the best time in England.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just met the most interesting people in this little English village where we lived, and just made some really good friends, and had the most fun. English people are really great conversationalists.
That's awesome.
And
do you still stay in touch with any of them?
I had our two best friends. Sadly, both of them have passed away.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, I was in touch with them until they passed away.
Yeah, getting old stuff.
Yeah.
And so one of my, more important questions. What's your favorite animal with a tail? Get a little punny with the questions sometimes.
I was a cat person for a long time.
Cute cat.
I just don't have any animals right now, but years, 4 cats.
Oh, wow.
It's 4. A lot. I would not do that now, but
yeah. No, 2 seems to be plenty to me.
Two's good.
Yeah. Anything beyond that. Ooh, that sounds fun.
People misjudge cats.
Yeah, they do.
All the cats I ever had were just very people-friendly cats that wanted to be with us, around us, on top of us, whatever. Yeah. Very cuddly cats. I never had those people cats are scary, or they're going to scratch you. I never had that.
No.
They were all just they're companion animals. And my mom had a cat. Thank God I found him a loving home. But he was the greatest companion animal.
Oh.
Her buddy that hung out with her, and Gabe pretty much wanted you to sit in her easy chair and let him sit on your lap.
Yeah. That's excellent. And for someone who, does like to go out, does like to travel here and there, cats are great for that because you can just leave Food Mountain. Maybe have someone come to the house here and there to clean the litter box, but you don't need that constant maintenance like a dog, I feel.
Yeah, dogs require a whole different household type of thing.
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, I like being like an aunt to dogs. You get to go visit, play with them a little bit, but when it comes down to picking up the poo or anything, you ask their parent to.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't have any animals now, and I just love on other people's animals.
That's awesome. Yeah. I don't have any in the studio. We're keeping this an animal-free studio, but I would definitely have a cat if I could.
What's your cat's name?
So I have a boy cat named Dash, and he's speckled of grays. And then I have an all black cat named Xena, my warrior princess.
Yeah.
Although she's a scaredy cat. She's truly a scaredy cat. When someone knocks on the door,
she's
she growls and runs away. And so, but she likes females. She if it's just a female, she feels the female energy. And she likes that. It's interesting.
Are you a TikTok person at all?
Am I a what?
TikTok person?
I am not. No. So I am very grateful to have team members who love to be on social media because they are the ones who will post on the TikTok and post on Facebook and all those things. The time I will spend is on LinkedIn. That's the platform where I'll actually be myself to respond to things.
Yeah. They have some funny cat stuff on TikTok.
I can imagine.
Especially now with Christmas trees. Like when I was a kid, we had a cat. And the night before Christmas, she ran up. We had this big, live Christmas tree. And she ran up the tree. We woke up in the morning and the tree was
down on the ground.
And we're like, oh God, my dad's going to go crazy when he sees this tree. We're trying to get the tree back up.
Oh, it's so funny. Yes. Yeah. Our Dash, he's a tree climber.
Is he?
So, yes, he does like to climb trees and things.
Yeah. I only ever had one that climbed the tree, and she was a kitten at the time. So she didn't really destroy anything.
Mm-hmm.
But they would just they used to have live trees.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they thought they were outside.
Right.
because they would all just want to sleep on the, the skirt thing under the tree.
Yeah.
And then they were drinking the water. And I was like, I don't get it, because you have clean water over there and you're drinking the nasty tree water.
Just maybe it has that little bit of maple syrup taste, something extra sweet, some sort of sweet water to it. Yeah. That's too funny.
But it was too funny. It's like, I guess you think you're outside.
Yeah, well, cats do love to be outside. I know that.
Mine were indoor cats, though, because we had woods behind us with foxes and coyotes and various things like that.
Yeah. Back here, they're all indoor. Back east, though, we used to let our cats outside, and because I mostly grew up in Maryland in a pretty rural area, so it was fine to just let them be outside. They'd come home, then it's all good. One time, though, when I wanted them to come home, he didn't, and I freaked out, but he eventually came running down the hill.
And so, sometimes they're just watching you while you're calling.
Yeah, they know exactly where to go. They know how to get food. Yeah. An animal never knows, forgets how to get food. Yeah. This has been such a pleasure.
It has been fun.
And as we're coming to a close, if there was just like one piece of advice you'd want to leave people with, one thing you'd want people to remember, what would that be?
Be your most human. Be more human. Be more human. Be with humans in the same space.
Yes.
Touch humans. We all need other people. No matter what you're doing, professionally, personally, whatever, be more human.
And especially when it comes to sales, I feel, because that is something that you need to have that authenticity. You need to build that trust. And so if you find yourself struggling to be more human, struggling to have a sales mindset, you obviously need to connect here with Gina Smith. So make sure you take a look at all the goodies we have in the show notes. We'll make sure that we, have that prompt to be able to get a hold of you, to get that avatar prompt, and, definitely reach out for keynotes as well as workshops for individuals and corporations, since you're industry agnostic. And literally everyone needs to be able to sell, because without money coming in the business, you don't have a business. Yes. And so thank you again so much for your time today. This was such a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Yes.
Till next time.
Thank you for watching Tales with Taylor. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the Financial Potion YouTube channel to never miss an episode.